We all know that the rent is too damn high, but instead of complaining about it, what if we just got rid of it? A lot of people have tried to diagnose the housing crisis, but Abolish Rent by Tracy Rosenthal and Leonardo Vilkes is not interested in doing that. Instead, this is a book that explains what is broken and how we can build something new. This book is simultaneously an idealistic and practical approach to the housing crisis, because it explains that what is in crisis is not housing, it's the tenants. Let's back up for a second. Our current housing system, it's capitalist, which means that landlords, developers, and real estate investors, they get to make a profit. Every year, landlords collect billions of dollars in rent from people who have no choice but to pay, and they don't actually get much in return except a roof over their head that's not stable, nor do they have control over it. Remember, landlords are a class of the scummiest people on earth who have a prohibitive level of power in our society. You might have heard people talk about how housing is treated as a commodity. Well, why is that bad? A commodity is just something that is sold for profit, like oil, grain, or gold. But when human rights like food, medicine, or housing are treated as commodities, then it's not about giving people meals, healthcare, or homes, it's just about selling and trading these things to make money. Abolish Rent is a radical book in the best sense. It argues that our fights over rent are really about fighting inequality and power. Rosenthal and Vilkes point to how landlords are just the tip of the iceberg. Rent isn't just a monthly payment, it is a mechanism by which wealth is transferred upward, poverty is perpetuated, and communities are further held back. The rent system weaponizes housing, turning a human right into a system of extraction, speculation, and displacement. This book connects union and anti-eviction movements in the early 20th century all the way to today's resurgence in tenant coalitions. Today, more and more people are joining together to stand up against landlords, fight evictions, and demand real change. This kind of organizing is both practical and imaginative because people aren't just demanding reforms or controls, instead they're reimagining what housing could truly be: public, social, and truly democratic. Why should we focus on abolishing the rent instead of just lowering it or controlling it? You might have heard terms like rent control and rent stabilization. Rent control means that there are laws that prevent the rent from going up too much or too fast. There might even be freezes on rent. Rent stabilization is a similar idea that limits how much rent can go up each year, offering tenants more security. Both of these are important reforms, but they just slow the bleeding. They don't solve the root of the problem. We have to abolish rent because rent itself is what's keeping people on shaky ground. As long as we treat housing as something to be bought and sold, there's always going to be winners and losers. The real solution is taking housing out of the profit game altogether. The authors argue that rent is connected to other big fights in our country right now, like policing, immigration, healthcare, and even climate change. Just like the climate crisis, the housing crisis is the result of deliberate policy choices that puts profit over people. The same billionaires that are making it harder for people to afford homes are making it harder to fight for climate action because they see housing and the environment as things to squeeze profit out of, as commodities, instead of human rights and necessities that everybody deserves. Abolish Rent is also a breath of fresh air because it is explicitly not doomerist. It's not about affordability or rent control, it's about creating a system where everybody has a home, where people actually have power, and where democracy is real. Landlords and politicians and capitalists want you to think that you are living beyond your means. That's not it. You are being denied the means to live. Rent is one of the biggest transfers of wealth every single year, from 100 million Americans to just a handful of landlords. So why should you read this book if you're interested in fighting climate change? Because housing justice and climate justice, they go hand in hand. Both of them require us to break free from systems that put profits and capitalists over people and the planet. If you want to learn more about organizing and helping your neighbor, you should read Abolish Rent. But you should also join a Sunrise Hub, because we know that collective action and radical change, it's the only path forward.